Good evening, viewers, and welcome to this edition of NTV Sports Page. It's Wednesday, the 1st of May, and I'm Curtis Morton. In our headlines, El Camino Tonito Willett celebrates 66. And in our feature for this evening, Inter-Primary scores revised, but CPS remains champs. We'll take this break, and I'll be right back.
Thank you so much for our message. Everybody have a good time. We're enjoying ourselves. We're having fun.
Love, passion, pride. Culturama 45. The Caribbean's greatest summer line. We are alive from July 26th to August 6th.
Well, I'm back, and we begin with cricket. Nivision cricketing hero El Camino Tonito Willett celebrates his 66th birthday today, May the 1st, 2019. According to Wikipedia, El Camino Tonito Willett MBE, born May 1st, 1953, Charlestown, Nevis, is a former West Indian cricketer who played in 5 test matches from 1973 to 74. He is the first Nivision and Leeward Islander to make it to the West Indies senior team. He made his first-class debut for the Leeward Islands in 1970-71 at the age of 17 and played his last match in the 1988-89 season. He took 8 for 73, his best innings figures, and 3 for 44 for the West Indies against Glamorgan in 1973. During New Zealand's tour of the West Indies in 1972, Willett was considered the best of many left-arm finger spinners the New Zealanders faced. Willett's nephew, Stuart Williams, has played many test matches and one-days for the West Indies, and his sons, Tonito and Akito Willett, also play first-class cricket. His daughter, Saneldo, plays for the Leeward Islands. In July 2010, Nevis's primary sporting venue, Grove Park, was renamed El Camino Willett Park in his honor. The renaming ceremony was a major event for the island, with several members of the island's administration participating, including Premier of Nevis, Joseph Barry. The whole of Nevis, and indeed the entire cricketing world, pauses to salute the great man on reaching another significant milestone. Earlier today, we caught up with the great man himself. Let's take in this. First up, Elko, I want to wish you a happy birthday on behalf of all the wonderful people of Nevis.
Yeah, well, thank you very much.
Now, Willett, if your history wasn't so well documented, I would have asked you to please go and get your birth certificate, because there's no way that you look anything like 66. How does it feel to be 66?
I feel like 22. This morning, my brother called me. He's 7 years older than me. And he told me he's 29.
Okay.
He said, I am 29, so that means you're 22.
And you feel, there's a feel about it, right?
So I said, boy, I feel like 22 for true.
That's good. That's the way to go. No, Willett, for somebody who probably just landed from the moon and wondering, who is this man? Tell us about, again, that first call-up for the West Indies team, the year, the exact date.
Well, it was, to start with, we were playing against Jamaica in St. Vincent when I got the news that I made the West Indies team. Some folks in the crowd alerted. It was Corriott, I think, from Montserrat, and he gave me the news right on the field. We were playing against Jamaica. It was 1973. But then I made my debut in Barbados on the 9th of March, 1973.
No, you're talking...
It was the second test match of that series.
Against Australia.
Against Australia, Ian Chappells.
That first wicket. Talk to us about that first test wicket.
Well, I think it was Kerry O'Keefe. I am nearly missing who I got first.
Okay.
It was Kerry O'Keefe who I got first. Yeah, and then I got Rod Marsh. I got 2 wickets in that first innings. So, well, it was a very great feeling taking my first test wicket.
And then the people of Nevis, I remember when you came back, you were celebrated at the then Grove Park. What was the feeling like?
Yeah, well, I think we motorcaded from the airport right to the park. And it was a great feeling, to see so many Nevisians coming out and supporting me, enjoying themselves, enjoying the occasion. Yeah.
And Willett, you have remained humble all through these years. I must congratulate you, because sometimes when people have achievements like these, you see, there's a historic achievement that cannot be changed. The first Nevisian, first Leeward Islander to make it to the West Indies team, there could be no other first. And so, I mean, there's something about you that just they can't change that. You're special, and you just stayed humble. What's the secret behind that?
Well, my upbringing, humble beginnings, and I've remained humble all these years. It is just me. It's just my nature to be humble.
And you recommend that?
Problem.
You recommend that to everybody?
No, of course.
Yeah.
No matter what I've achieved, I mean, I've stayed the same. I've always been humble, so it's no problem for me. Staying humble, no matter what I achieved.
Well, the beautiful thing about it is they have already named the park after you. I am one trying to push that before you're gone, because I realize it's just a while ago I heard again that somebody who I know very well has passed on to the great beyond, and I realize people are just dying, Elko. People are just dying. And I'm wanting the powers that be, and I'm using this medium to say again, because I've said it, I've written it, that I'm hoping that before I pass on and before you pass on, that we will be able to say, Sir Elkemito Willett.
Well, to be truthful, those things don't really bother me. I got
that.
an MBE last year, but
that.
if it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, I really don't get bothered with those things. As I say, I'm a very humble man, and what comes, and what doesn't come, no problem with me.
Well, it's no problem.
But, it would be a great honor to be named sir, really, but...
Well, Willett, again, on behalf of the wonderful people of Nevis, I really want to say my heartfelt congratulations to you for all that you would have achieved and done for Nevis, because as an ambassador, you have been excellent. You have excelled. I want to say thank you, and we want to wish you a happy, happy birthday. I hope the madam and the children and everybody else will just do something special for you today. All the best.
I'm going out for lunch today. Madam is taking me out for lunch.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Well, let me say thanks to you and the people of Nevis, St. Kitts and the world over, for wishing me a happy birthday.
Wait, Willett, I just remembered something. I was talking about people dying. There was an occasion last year when you almost left us suddenly.
You're right.
How well are you now? Because you look as if nothing ever happened. How well are you?
I am pretty well.
Okay.
I just have some stiffness if I happen to look too far to the right. But apart from that, I'm pretty good.
But you can reverse. You can reverse and
yes,
look back.
of course, I can reverse and look back.
Okay.
Because I look on my left side when I'm reversing.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't look around too far to the right.
to the
But
right,
I think eventually I would get
You get
that
there.
in order to,
But you're
I am
basically
pretty
doing
good,
everything
yes.
normal. That you normally.
Basically. I'm exercising again. I went for a walk this morning. I was cutting some grass in the yard here.
And I'm sure you want to thank God.
Sure, I'd like to thank God for saving me first thing. It was in February, 20th of February last year that I fell down, and without him I wouldn't be here.
Meanwhile, Cricket West Indies has agreed to the BCCI's request of pushing back India's 2019 tour of the Caribbean by a couple of weeks. ESPN Cricket Info understands the tour is likely to commence in the first week of August and run till September the 4th. The final dates for the India tour, along with the venues, will be finalized by Cricket West Indies at its board meeting on May the 13th. Now to netball, we have some recent results in the St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank Netball League. April 30th, Royal Logistics Aqua Ballers 45K on Pacers 13, Aces 34, KJ Auto Rental Sandy Point 22. Upcoming matches, Thursday the 2nd May, the venue the Pam Tyson Netball Stadium at 6:30 p.m. on Court 2, Royal Logistics Aqua Ballers versus Aces, and at 6:45 p.m. on Court 1, Skills takes on Newtown Ballers. The general public is kindly asked to note that all games previously slated for Saturday 4th May have been postponed until further notice. We go to break, and when I come back, we'll have our feature for this evening.
Actually here on the side for the photo shoot of the Mr. Cool participants and Miss Culture Swimwear contestants.
Every year it's been a bit hectic, but we love what we do. I think this is the 6th or 7th year, if I'm not mistaken, that I've been doing this, so I've been honored to do this for quite some time. Next pose. Yeah,
this year we actually have a dozen. So we have 6 beautiful ladies and 6 charming young men, both competing for the Mr. Cool title and Miss Culture Swimwear title. We are here at the breathtaking Paradise Beach Resort. I definitely want to thank the staff for accommodating us today. It's been truly wonderful.
Well, I'm back, and tonight we feature athletics. Meet director for the 2019 edition of the Gulf Insurance Inter-Primary Schools Athletic Meet, aka the Mini Olympics, Mr. Garfield Virgo, on Tuesday confirmed that there have been some minor changes to the point standings that were previously released in connection with the meet. Let's take in this exclusive interview. Recently, we had the wonderful Inter-Primary, that's the Gulf Insurance Inter-Primary Meet. And as per usual, it was a scintillating event at the Mondo track. The meet director on that very significant day was Mr. Garfield Virgo. Virgo, if you were to put in a brief summary as to your overall view of what it was in terms of the success of that particular meet, what would be your thoughts?
Just one word, outstanding.
Outstanding.
Outstanding. The performances of the athletes as a whole, I mean, they left their hearts on the track. You know, they were very impressive in the performances on that day.
Now, when it comes to the actual results, the year before, the previous year, there was some, should I say, unfortunate calculations, and there were celebrations and then maybe tears when scores had to be changed. Yeah. And I think the promise was made that, well, we're going to ensure that it doesn't happen again. My understanding is that it didn't quite happen, but there were some changes to the scores. Could you kind of just update the general public?
Yes, we did try, but unfortunately, plans look good on paper, but when it comes time to execute, that's something that going forward we'll have to try to execute a bit more properly. What really happened was we had some athletes who ended up completing the race, wrong lanes, wrong bib numbers, wrong hip numbers, and so when they were assessed, judged on the line by the photo finish operator, they would have been placed incorrectly, and so that affected about three or four of the races, and as a result, the points would have been adjusted. The position was not affected for the Zone A schools. However, for the Zone B category, where Malcross was assessed to be the second place, they would have been taken over by VOJN.
But in terms of the A zone, even though the positions were not affected, let's say, for instance, the points for Charlestown Primary would have probably gone down a bit.
Not significant, not a lot though, not a lot. But St. Thomas's would have closed the gap a bit on them.
Okay, so when you look at that in terms of having probably, you could say, a repeat, not quite the same enormity of the situation, but having a little bit of a repeat, does it tell us that maybe our officials need to be trained so that maybe we don't have to be depending on other persons, let's say from St. Kitts, or what's the situation with that?
There was a large scale error last year. This year is much on a smaller level. I've seen an improvement where that is concerned. Okay. I'm hoping that next year there'll be no errors, right? And we are working towards that as well. We have had training with the officials, and I must say that majority of the officials on the track for Inter-Primary were local Nivisians, and they did an outstanding job. Okay. Right? We are going to organize some additional training for them to have them properly certified by the IAAF. So we're going to try and get some training done within the last quarter of this year.
And once that is done, then probably the officials and Nevis would be on par with those from St. Kitts, because I always get the distinct impression that the officials from St. Kitts are of a superior quality, maybe training, maybe status, I don't know.
The officials on St. Kitts would they would have gained that sort of superiority complex that you're talking about if you're thinking along those lines. Based on the level of experience, the years of experience, they would have had more international meets under their belt. Our locals, Navitians, do not have that level of experience. Currently, we have only one fully trained official from Nevis, and that's Miss Janita Matthew. Wow. Yes, she's very heavily involved with the track and field scene in St. Kitts. Almost every other weekend, starting from January, heading down to late July, you will see her heading down for the various meets. All right, so they have had the years of experience and they built up. The training will be on par with what they would have gotten. That is, the upcoming training will be on par with what the St. Kitts Nevis. So it's not anything that is a lower quality. Right, it's to be on the same par, same level of officials. Facilitator will come and train them.
And so going forward, finally, Mr. Virgo, 2020. Hopefully, as you indicated, we'll be having 0 errors, but definitely going forward, there will be a plan put in place that will try to minimize, if not totally eradicate, such errors.
I don't want to guarantee 0 errors, Mr. Morton, because at the end of the day, we are dealing with the human beings, all right? But like I said, we put in plans. The technical committee. I should take this opportunity to mention them as well. They've been working very hard and fast, assiduously. Thanks to Mr. Alsted Pemberton, Mr. Liebert, Mr. Shefton Liebert, Mr. Joseph Liebert, Mr. Raymond Smith from the Department of Sports, Mr. Jamir Claxton, Ms. Tricia Griffin. Right? Those persons would have been working hard. You may not be seeing them up front, but they're behind the scenes working really, really hard to try and cut out the errors, you know.
Okay, well, I must congratulate you, though. Your team did very well. I know it took a lot of work. It's one thing for us to stand on the sidelines and criticize, but I know there's a lot of work that goes on before the day, on the day, and even after the day. So I want to congratulate you guys, and we look forward to, a minimizing of the errors in the future.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much. On behalf of the technical committee and the other officials, I want to thank you for the support you've given us as well. Right. Thanks much, man.
The points that were originally released were as follows: Charlestown Primary 218 points, Zone A champs and overall champions; St. Thomas's Primary 184 points, Joycelyn Liebert Primary 138 points, Ivor Walters Primary 131 points, Elizabeth Pemberton Primary 69 points, B Zone champions; Maud Cross Prep 52 points, VOJN 48 points, Nevis Academy 18 points, and St. James's Primary 15 points. The revised points, however, are as follows: Charlestown Primary 212 points, still the champions; St. Thomas's Primary up 193 points, second; Joycelyn Liebert Primary 141, Ivor Walters Primary 135, Elizabeth Pemberton Primary down from 69 to 59, still the B-Zone champs; VOJN Primary 51 points, up to second place; Maud Cross Prep 46 points, Nevis Academy 17 points, St. James Primary remains unchanged at 15 points. Well, that's our package for this evening. I am Curtis Morton, reminding you that you can watch sports if you're not fit, but to play sports requires fitness, diligence, and sacrifice. Have a good night.